Yeah, let's start today's video with a new component again from the data and event processing, so which is like a decision component. So before we begin with the decision component, I want to just explain you one small thing about what is, or just wanted to highlight one small thing about decision component. So now we are going to deal with a logic, right, from here onwards. As I said, I mean from data mapper itself, we had started with building few minor logics, but yeah, decision is something it will take it one step ahead. So what is decision? So in the traditional coding, we have conditional uh, tags, right, where we write if loop, while loop. So those are like the conditional thing or the conditional code where if certain condition matches, then we execute or do a certain activity which we have written in the code, or if not, then we are going to a different code, right? We are going to execute a different code. So conditionally, we execute a particular thing with if and else loop or while loop, or there are many things about it. So decision component is something similar to that if else loop or while loop or whatever you can say. So as we are going ahead with the logics, so we will require those logic thing and we are going to deal with decision component to build that kind of a if else logic with this. Okay, so let me drag and drop just to show you how it looks. So here we have this property ID label, which is again same, and trigger type as watch and manual. So in the previous video, which was about the data mapper, there we had seen the concept of manual and watch. So as I explained this, watch is something it will look for particular inputs to change. If those inputs are getting changed, it will get automatically triggered. And for manual, we need to manually execute this decision component, right, to make it work. So that's the difference between again watch and manual, and you will see this watch manual in many of the components going forward. And here is the next one, which is a disable execution, and here we have a execution type merge and last. And here if you see, these are the property input table, output table, and this is a micro decision. So before going directly into this, let me give you or show one example about it, and with that I will explain you all what are those tables: input table, output tables, and uh, micro decision table, so you'll get those things in a better way. So to do that, let's drag and drop a few components over here. So let's make it as first name. Yeah, simple first name. Then put it, maybe let's put it as last name here. Save. Okay, then we will introduce here a drop down component, and maybe for drop down, the usually the convention is like add this thing which is dp, which is it stand for drop down, and maybe claim. I'm just writing that dp claim. Okay, drop down claim, and here we will write have you made, or have you made, instead of that I can write have you claimed the insurance. This is the label I'm giving, right? And here I can write as select, and in this values let's write just simple one, yes and no, right? So we have given this. Let's quickly save this whatever we have done, and maybe here I will write, I will drag and drop text area here. I will write here as text area, or instead I can write claim reason, right? So I'm giving this text area window to user where he can write these things freely, right? What was the reason of claiming that? So here what we have done is we have just put four components together, and all would be visible, right, with this. Let me log in this. Yep. Okay, then all are visible here. So let's suppose what logic we need to build is when I select here yes, then only this claim reason text area should be visible. If I put it as no, then it should be hidden. This claim reason text area should be hidden. This is what we need to build. That's our use case. Okay, so let's see how we can achieve this using decision component. So before that, let's do it like hide this. We'll hide this field. So because we don't want to show this field every time we load this page, we want to initially hide that field, and based on the drop down value selection, we want to either show or hide this field. Cool. So let's drag and drop here decision component, and maybe I will put it below this drop down, and here I will write rule show claim reason. So here if you see I'm like writing this property IDs and label. uh, the name which I'm giving here is something like by reading itself we will came to know what is this decision about, right? Because there might be a lot of decisions as we build our applications, so with that name only we should be able to identify what this decision should be doing, so it is easily to debug and go into it if we want to make any changes. Cool. So now what we'll do, we'll keep it as manual here for now, and in this input table what we need to mention is we need to mention that value which we are going to look. So what we are going to look, we are looking into drop down, right? We are going to look into the values of drop down. So here I will write as dp claim, and here I will type as exact. So why exact? Because now whatever the logic I am going to build, that logic would be based on the exact value of the drop down which I would select. So that's why here I have selected exact, and here are the things also range contains, which we will see soon as we go ahead. So in the property table what we will do in the output, so here is the input, here we put what things we want to look into, or like we are going to change something based on this value, and what will be the output. So what is our output is we want to deal with claim reason text area as output, whether that text area should be hidden or shown. So then we will write here as claim reason. And okay, so as so far so good, right? First is like what we are going to look into or what we are going to watch, and the second is like what would be the output of it. So two things, input and output are set, and here we need to select the type. So what is our type? Like, do we want to clear that text area? Do we want to disable that text area? Do you want to do some other things? Do you want to change the label of it? So here all these things are there. There are different types in the way we can deal with that particular text area. So let's put it or like scroll down. Here you will see one type is hidden, right? So let's look for the hidden one, where it is. Yeah, here it is hidden. And now our input and output is there. So micro decision is like here we need to put what to show, I mean what to do based on input value. So here what I will write is if, so you can explain or like you can just interpret this thing. Okay, so you can just interpret this thing as maybe dp claim is something what value I want. If the value can be yes or the value can be no, right? Two are the possible values because in the drop down we just have put two values there, yes or no. So based on yes value or no value, what should be the output of this claim reason, okay, of type hidden. So let's suppose if this is claim, dp claim is yes, then hide this hidden should be no. We do not want to hide that, so I'm putting it here as no. But if dp claim value is no, then yes, I want to hide that. So that's why I'm giving here as yes. So claim reason underscore hidden, it automatically comes as we write here these things, and based on what we want to do, we need to put this yes or no, right? So now if you save and if you just refresh this, if you see no, yes, If you see, it has not made any change, right? With the screen, the claim reason is still hidden. Why it is, right? Because the decision component we have used, right? But here we have put it as manual. So what I said is like when we put it as manual, then we need to manually trigger this component. So now the logic is there with the decision component, but we need to explicitly trigger that. So how to do that? In the drop down, we have this trigger, right? So if you just hover over this tooltip, what it says, enter the property ID of component you want to trigger. So what component I want to trigger, that you need to put here. So our component name is rule show claim reason, right? This is the rule that we have developed or like configured here. So what we are going to do based on the values getting changed from this drop down, we are going to trigger this rule show claim reason every time, right? So now let's try that. So here if I select as yes, that rule will get trigger and you can see this thing, right? If I put it here as no, then it is hidden, right? So this is how we trigger a logic, right? We have implemented one thing, or we are going slowly towards advance, or like trying to build the logic around it, right? Which is with the decision component. Cool. That was about the decision component, but yes, few things to know about decision component, which are very important. So here if you see we have this required and silent, right? So if we put it here required, what it means is this component, decision component, will only get executed if this value is present. In our case, it will not make any sense because we are going to trigger this component only if we select the drop down values. But let's suppose there are few other values as well. Here we have some other value or few more values we have, right? So if we put it here as required for that particular value, then whatever the execution is, like if we are manually executing that or it is on watch, then this decision component will only get triggered if that value is present over here. So what it means is, let me just explain you with one example. Okay, so let's put a text field here as location. Okay, so I'm just putting here a text field as location. So what we are going to do is this location component, we are going to mention it here. Okay, in this decision component. So here I have put location, here I have put it as exact, and let's make it as required. So the other logic is same, right? We haven't changed that other logic. Okay, so now if I enter some random first name, last name, and here if I select yes, then ideally that text area should have came right here on this, but it will not come because this location is something we have put required and now it is blank. So if we put it here some location, and now if we try to deal with it, then it will work, right? Because whatever the required value was there is now mentioned, it is not blank, and that's why it is working here. And the other one is silent, right? So silent is something we don't want to look into that value irrespective of value present or not. We are still going to use we're going to go ahead with execution of this decision component. In that case you can just put it here as silent. Okay, and just uncheck this box. So silent, or maybe if you don't put it silent, it is quite similar. uh, so no explicitly no, there is no need to explicitly check this box. You can either keep it as required or not required based on this. And here there are many things, like you can just try around with that. We have just taken example which is hidden, right? So we can put it as label also. So you can change the label based on which is present. It is present or not. Okay. So maybe let's change the label of that text area. I can write the label if drop down value is yes as claim is selected, claim is done. Maybe I can write it as claim is done, or I will write here as not claimed, or instead of this writing this thing I can just write claimed or not claimed, right? And instead of uh, so now we have removed that hide logic, hide show logic. So we will just make it uh, always visible. But what we are going to do is, instead of uh, keeping this label as claim reason, we are going to dynamically change the label based on this selection. So what I will do, I'll just write the name, and here I will write as yes. Then if you say, see, the label is changed, and if I put it no, then label is not claimed. So this is how we can control all of the other stuff also with this whole decision component. So there are many things about it. So this is hidden, visible. All these things are something very uh, normal, or like these are something used frequently. But yeah, other things also you can discover. And if any questions, you can just put it in the video. I will surely answer those questions. And then the next is open unit testing, right? So here what we did is like I want to test that, then I previewed that module, and then I did that unit testing thing, right? I mean, I tested it from the UI. But instead of that, you can unit test from this column also, like this section also. So open unit test, and you can just click on this, which is add unit test, and here you can put that value. So what it means is like if value is yes, then what should be the output? So if I run test, so see what happened is if you put value as yes, then the value claimed will come. If we put no here and run test, then not claimed would be like put it over here. So also if you want to maintain a unit testing for this, you can put or hard code that expected values here. So these things would something come up as a unit testing data, right, which you can run using this button also. So if you see here run all test, so this test is triggered and there is no issue with that. But if you write here as something value, right, so this values won't match. So in that case you will get to know, yeah, this unit test is getting failed. And in this way you can add the other test also, other unit testing sections also, and you can keep it as it is here if you want. Okay, and after that here we have this advanced setting where it says set debounce. Okay, so here we have that value which is this milliseconds. So what it means is like enter the number of milliseconds that pass before loads this component. So if I put some value here, maybe 1000 millisecond, which is 1 second, then in that case, once we trigger this component using our drop down, which we are doing as of now, so this component will wait for this amount of time, whatever we put here, and then only it will get trigger. So this is something used when we are triggering on form load. Let's suppose we are triggering this rule or some other rule on a form load, or maybe as soon as we load the page, we don't want to immediately trigger this. We want to uh, make sure that this page waits for some particular time and then triggers, so that in the meantime the page loads. So this we can do with this set debounce configuration. So yeah, that's pretty much about decision component.